From family events to volunteer opportunities to community happenings, there is a lot going on in your community. Learn about all the possibilities and opportunities on this episode of Community Hotline.
Hi, welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're here in Gresham at Metro East Community Media. Tonight we're going to be talking with a couple of different organizations that are ones I've not talked with before, and I hope you'll find them interesting and educational and informative. And don't forget that Community Hotline is on Facebook, so be sure to like us there. First off, we're going to be talking with Springboard Innovation. With us tonight is the Vice President of the Board, Paul Osterlin. Thanks for being here, Paul.
Thank you.
Springboard Innovation, I can't remember where I actually first heard about it, but I read something in, I think it was a community paper or something about Springboard, and I was fascinated because it's a very innovative idea, and I like the whole concept of it. So you can probably better explain to our viewers than I can exactly what you do at Springboard Innovation.
Yeah, happy to do so.
Thank you.
Our mission is to enable community members, citizens, regular people, to design, build, and launch innovative and sustainable solutions to global and local problems. So that's a bit of a mouthful.
That's huge. That's a
the
big
fact is it's
undertaking.
about regular folks. So not MBAs, not some elite requirement, but people who want to make a difference.
And not people that just have lots of money either.
Yes, that's it, precisely. Regular folks.
Like you and me.
Like us.
Okay.
Who
So
want to
how
make a
does
difference
that, how's that
and
work?
don't know necessarily how to get from here to there, but are inspired or have an idea or
passion,
we have
perhaps,
a
for
passion.
something?
It's really about our passions or our concerns, the things which we want to address in life. And when I first heard about Springboard, it completely changed my perspective about how I was going to spend my retirement. So that was kind of a little bit of an aha.
So much for retirement, huh?
Yes, so much for retirement. It's not the retirement of golf and gardening.
No,
it's a retirement that's really about purpose.
Yeah, it's got purpose and it's got focus. That's wonderful.
So Springboard has programs in 4 focus areas.
Your core areas.
4 core areas,
I remember
right?
reading that. Okay.
Teach, convene, fund, and build. So in the area of teach, we have classes. The classes that would let people who say, gee, I'm really concerned about plastic in the environment. What do I do? How do I create an organization that can make a difference? Our training enables people to get from I wish I could to I'm in action doing so. So about designing, building, and launching innovative and sustainable solutions. By that we mean real breakthroughs, the opportunity to make a big difference, not just put a Band-Aid on a problem, but
Okay, so are you talking about creating a nonprofit organization?
Could be nonprofit, could be for-profit, could be some very interested hybrid models that combine some of both, but all about purpose. So if it's a for-profit, it's not about the purpose of raising money, but rather about the purpose of a mission.
Okay, so it's a different focus.
It's a different focus, and sometimes requires a different organizational structure. Maybe it's not a corporate structure.
Right.
Maybe it's something else. Although there are some interesting corporate structures that
So
can
do you
be.
help people explore those options as to what would work best for that particular passion or mission?
Absolutely, that's part of our training and part of the coach, because not too many people know how to go about that or what the options are.
And it's rather a large undertaking it's a rather a daunting undertaking to try to start an organization to cure the world's ails.
Yes, in fact, the bigger the problem, the tougher the task,
Right,
certainly. And so we challenge ourselves and others to really dig deeply into what could we do that could make a difference.
So
and
teaching is one of them.
Teaching, and in that we try to identify what's the problem that we want to address, not just what's my good idea, but rather what's the problem and how is this going to bring a truly innovative solution to that problem. So that's what the teach focus is about.
All right.
Then there's convene. Convene is really about getting together.
Right.
And we have monthly forums. We had one last night, in fact, on alternative financing methods to keep our money locally in the community.
Good deal.
Kind of an interesting thing. had 65 folks in the room.
Really? Good turnout.
And we brought some people up from California and had 4 speakers who presented some really novel thinking about how to approach creative financing and what would enable us to keep, there's a term called leakage, when our funds go out of the community and they're supporting some other place, who knows where.
Right. How to keep it here, keep it
might
local.
keep it much more locally.
Sure.
So one of the big things in that, for example, may be to take our money from the big banks that are the international or big nationals and bring it to local credit unions or locally based financial institutions. That's keeping it local.
Right.
So just
little things like
those
that.
little things, which can actually add up to very big things, because it enables that credit union to recycle that money in the community to do you and I some good.
Sure, that makes sense.
So that's an example of a convening.
Okay.
It's also an educational opportunity, but it's also people getting together.
Right,
It's
networking.
us, exactly.
Sharing ideas.
And the 65 people in the room were very engaged in this process.
bet they
We
were.
had about an hour of just free-flowing discussion following. Very interesting stuff. So that's kind of an idea of convene. Then there's fun. What we realized early on is if we want people to go down this path, we've got to enable them with some funding at startup.
That's probably, I would think, the biggest roadblock for most organizations getting
And
started.
the most vulnerable time is that early time. I've got a great idea. It's even something which is innovative and can make a big difference.
And if
But
it's still an
how?
intangible and it isn't yet up and working, then that's where it's hard to get the funding.
And most funders want to know, when you're way down this road, we may be interested, but what at the beginning?
Right, when you need
Good
it most.
luck.
Yes.
And our position at Springboard is we've got to fill that gap. So we created something called Change Exchange. It's an online tool, and it enables people who have good ideas to, so Springboard has, I think we have 11 or so right now on Change Exchange, and it allows citizens to make a donation to the startup of that. We might think of it as Kickstarter for social innovation.
Now, are these organizations that they would be making a donation to, are they already 501c3s?
They may be, or they may be so new.
That they're
Again,
not there
we're in
yet.
this very vulnerable startup,
right.
probably before they've even applied to the IRS for that designation. It took me 2 years to create the nonprofit that I started, so I know it's a long, long process. So again, this is about enabling that startup and funding those worthy, good, purposeful ideas that have a chance of making a huge difference. So that's an example of fund. Then
And
build
what's
is
the
our
fourth?
fourth area. And build is really about creating the municipal infrastructure, the community-based infrastructure that would enable folks to move down this path. In fact, accelerate their process down the path.
Okay, give me an example of how you do that.
So one example is we created something called Innovative Cities. It not only applies here in Portland, but in many cities have embraced this. And it's really a method of measuring what we have in the community that can enable this, and how sufficient are we equipped with the resources. So do we have attorneys, for example, who know how to operate somewhere between a nonprofit and a for-profit in this new territory of
it's kind of a
hybrid models?
gray area right now,
It's a
isn't it?
gray area. There are not many people with experience. Do we have accountants with this kind of experience? All the things that any startup would need, but really targeted to this very specialized mission-based, purposeful work. So that's an example of build, though the biggest project that we're undertaking in Portland is something we call Hatch.
That's what I read about. I think it was in the Oregonian, I think.
It was, probably the Business Journal.
Yes,
Article in
yes.
the Business Journal. We actually have made an offer on a building. We're still in process of doing the due diligence, but we intend to buy a 50,000 square foot building and create a facility here in Portland that really serves the whole community and really accelerates this. So located in that facility would be all of those resources that you or I may need.
So for example, would attorneys and accountants be there, have an office there, or would they just be?
Exactly.
Maybe.
Be there and have an office there.
Okay.
Financial institutions, be there and have offices
have a
there. And
presence
they're there to do the work they do in the community in general, but specifically to be available to those new launchers, of new
Right.
enterprises that need that care and feeding at the beginning of their process. So this has really come about through our own experience. We've just discovered that it takes too long and not as many people can get down this path as, so if you look at the rate at which the problems are occurring in our world and the rate at which we're able to deal with those problems, we have a great mismatch.
Yeah,
We've got to bring
plenty to be
these,
done.
there's more to be
Yes,
done than
yes.
we can possibly.
And I imagine there's a lot of people out there with the energy and enthusiasm and passion for those kind of missions, but they don't know how to begin.
Yep.
Or they don't have the funding, they don't have the infrastructure, as you say,
Very accurate.
to do that. So this new building, if I remember, is over on Broadway, right close off the freeway, off
Yes,
of I-5.
very central. It has the street, the new
location.
streetcar runs on each side of the building.
Good.
It's was really our favorite target for access by people coming from
Yeah, that's a really good
bicycle,
location.
walking, busing,
Good
Max,
location. Yes.
streetcar, all of that, as well as the community, the neighborhood people around that area. So we think it's an ideal location.
This is going to be a big,
It's a big 50,000 square feet is a
that's a
lot
lot.
of building
That's a lot.
and a very expensive
I'm sure.
undertaking. And that's what we're confronting at the moment. How do we do what the real costs are here?
Right.
And yet we're convinced this is one of the most essential. In fact, most places outside of the US, Europe, and Canada are much farther down this path of
really?
enabling social innovators to start mission-based.
Have you done studies in that? Has
Oh, yes,
Springboard done
yes,
that to
yes.
gain some wisdom from what they've gone through
Yes,
already?
and still we don't see a model that, so what we're inventing here, this thing we call Hatch, we've really made this up. There's no historical precedent for us to look at and say we're going to do it like they did it because they were successful. We can see the best of at each location, and we're borrowing the best of.
So if this is a very successful undertaking, you will become the model for the rest
And
of
that's part of our intention. It's not only as a facility for us in Portland, it's a model for other communities to embrace. And we've spent 2 years just figuring this thing out.
I have no doubt.
So
what
we
is your
don't-
timeline for, or do
We
you have a
hope
timeline
to,
right
yes,
now?
we do. And we hope to be in the building by early, so about a year and a quarter from now.
Oh, really?
We are expecting our tenants to be able to move in, we to be able to move in. Now that's, if all things work as we hope.
Right.
And of course, there are always challenges. These are 100-year-old buildings that
This is the
are
old Broadway furniture
the
store.
old Broadway furniture store that still exists as a functioning business today and has two buildings sort of joined together, and we're really opening that up into one building that will have beautiful light and wonderful place for people to be.
great.
So it's a place that will compel people to want to be there and engage in what goes on there. And the building is all about this purpose. So it's a building with a mission.
Wonderful. Yeah, which fits in perfectly to what you're doing. Now we're almost out of time. So tell me, what are the most important things you want people to take away from this conversation about Springboard? If they have an idea, a passion, an idea, what do they need to do if they think they might want to move forward
Well,
with that?
certainly reach us at Springboard.
Okay.
Although we're very focused on this new Hatch project, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
little hard to do that and many of the other things.
You're doing your own project right now.
Yes, and yet
But you can still help out. You still have
Yes.
to teach, fund, convene, and build.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I find when I'm in the environment where this conversation is going on, I'm a better me.
Brings out the best in you.
It does. And I think that's true for others. We certainly observe that in those who come and want to be a part of creating a new future. And it's really nothing less than that we're up to. This is creating a new future.
Good work, Paul. This is a good stuff.
Yeah,
good.
thanks.
Well, congratulations for being part of such an innovative organization. That's wonderful. And perhaps sometime you can, when we have more time, you can come on and tell me about your nonprofit, because I imagine you used help from Springboard to get that going.
Absolutely. It
So
was through the trainings of Springboard that I founded.
And
Yep.
if I had more time, I'd like to hear more about
very
that.
good.
So that'll be another conversation.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for being on here, Paul. I appreciate it. This was our first segment of Community Hotline. It went by way too fast, but if you're interested in finding out more about Springboard Innovation, be sure to check out their website. The information will be at the bottom of your screen. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Evergreen Aviation. We're going to talk about their Space Museum and their new water park.